So I'm just going to take a few minutes to briefly go through some of the key components of the course outline. I won't go through everything. You can have some time to look through and read some of the policies on your own. But just to get started, the course text that we'll be working with this term is by Gordon Burns, Gunn, Purdue, and Surtees, and it looks like this. This is a picture of the cover. It's available in the bookstore, and it's also available on Amazon if you want to buy it through there. You still do have some time because we won't be taking up some of the article or chapters in this book until week 3. And so in collaboration with that book, we'll also be utilizing this Capilano Guide to Writing Assignments to help you with your written work. And then we'll also be drawing a lot from this list of articles and chapters from other books as well, because I think that we really need to also take a critical lens at some of the ideas that are shared in the core text and look at it from multiple perspectives. So we'll be drawing on this list. These 2 readings here by Alexis Shotwell are going to be available in 2 weeks. The library is still ordering a copy of the ebook for us so that we can all read it. 2 chapters, that is. So some of the learning outcomes of this course: upon successful completion of the course, students will be able to do the following: discuss the history and philosophy of the concepts of difference, diversity, and inclusion. Students will be introduced to theories such as post-colonialism, queer theory, and post-feminism that speak to issues of difference, diversity, and inclusion. So in this way, we won't, as I suggested in the last video, we won't be looking at individual problems or behaviors, but rather the structural conditions that create particular effects. We'll also be discussing how all children might reach their potential through curriculum and assessment, which is both developmentally and individually appropriate in ways that promote social equity and justice. So in the same breath, we'll also be critiquing developmentalism and taking a critical approach at what it means to live and learn in a settler colonial state. So we'll also be considering how issues such as race, disability, sexuality, culture, and class and gender contribute to social inequities and injustices in earlier settings, policies, and society. And then lastly, we'll be exploring the role of the early childhood educator as a member of the transdisciplinary team in supporting families. So in this sense, we'll be looking at ways of seeing and ways of listening to multiple perspectives. So students who complete this course, this is also a self and society course, so you'll also be able to do the following: assess and evaluate individual and collective responsibilities within a diverse and interconnected global society, analyze the impact of colonialism and racism on Indigenous peoples, specifically within Canada, but we'll be looking at the effects of settler colonization. Synthesize a range of differing community perspectives on ethics and justice, and explain how these perspectives can inform structural change. Explain how contexts, so cultural, historical, colonial, economic, technological, shape identity formation and social structures. So some of the key course content that we'll be working throughout our weeks together include examining power, how it moves through society, and how it privileges particular people and creates certain social positionalities. So we'll really be working through this idea of privilege and positionality, especially in the first 2 weeks. We'll have an introduction to the theory of social constructionism. We'll be looking through the lens of social constructionism for most of this course. We'll also be discussing neocolonialism and processes of subject making. We'll be unsettling concepts of difference by looking at race, gender, sexuality, class, and ability as they're socially constructed. We'll be investigating the concept of inclusion, not assuming that it is neutral or given, but rather really critically analyzing what is inclusion and what do the discourses that surround inclusion do. So we'll be exploring inclusion through a post-foundational notion. So looking at incommensurability, diversity, and difference. We'll be looking at heteronormativity, examining what that means and what gender transformation happens in early childhood education when looking from a critical lens. Unpacking discourses of deficit and damage-centered narratives. We'll be discussing bodied politics, how bodies live in the world and how bodies are able to live in the world. We'll be looking at pedagogical orientations, so ways of seeing and listening. We'll be discussing ethics of care and unknowability as an ethical sense. And we'll be imagining speculative disability futures. And this kind of seems a little bit vague, but as we're reading the Alexis Shotwell texts, those 2 chapters in her book called Against Purity, we'll be discussing more about what this means, imagining speculative disability futures. So the evaluation profile of this course is this. So weekly engagement and responses is 60% of your grade. You'll have a virtual roundtable assignment, which is worth 20%. And then lastly, you'll have a written synopsis of selected text, which is also worth 20%. And then I won't go over this last bit, just the grading profile you can look at on your own time, and some policies on incomplete grades, late assignments, attendance, on the online space, and etc. So let's just move on, and I'm going to show you the assignment descriptions. So your weekly engagement and responses, as I previously said, is worth 60%. So that's 12 weeks at 5 points each. So over the course of the term, there are regular readings, materials, and related tasks. So these will be small exercises that you do throughout the week, responses, dialogues. There'll be some short films to watch and little things to read, in addition to your articles and the chapters in the textbook. So you'll need to engage with and complete weekly readings and tasks by the Saturday of each week so that you can allow for responses and group dialogue on the Sunday, unless otherwise posted on Moodle. So in your responses online, it's expected that you use correct grammar and spelling, and that you follow APA and include appropriate referencing. So if you are drawing on the ideas of others, you need to make sure that you're citing it, because it is considered plagiarism if you aren't citing whose ideas you're drawing on. So late submissions for the weekly content won't be credited. It's got to be on time in order for us to have some dialogue on the Sunday. Weekly tasks are a strategy to help keep you on a regular schedule with your readings and ensure your engagement in the course material. So you will receive a full credit, which is 5 points for weekly engagements that indicate critical thought, understanding, and collaborative engagement with the weekly content. So really making sure that you are looking through the videos, all the links that are posted, and engaging in the online forums. So the second assignment is called a virtual roundtable. And this will be due during weeks 4 to 12. So in this assignment, you'll work in a small group to prepare, record, and share a roundtable conversation that discusses the key concepts and an analysis of a weekly reading package. So the conversation will take place on Skype. One member of your group will record the conversation via Screen-O-Matic, which is the same program that I'm using to record myself right now. And then you'll either upload it to YouTube or another program that offers a shareable link, because Moodle has a capacity and you can't upload really large videos, so you'll need to include a link to another website where your video is posted. And then you'll share it on Moodle for the class to listen to and to engage with. So I'll be posting a tutorial on Moodle that demonstrates how to use Screen-O-Matic and how to post it. The roundtable conversation will last between 12 and 15 minutes and must be posted on the Sunday of your specific week. So for example, if you're in group 1, you'll post on Sunday, January 27th for week 4. So the purpose of this assignment is to encourage a rich and deep discussion of the weekly readings and offer you an opportunity to tease out and unpack some of the key course concepts in dialogue with others. After your roundtable conversation, viewers should be left with more questions than answers. Your discussions should really provoke us to think and leave things open for us to have some dialogue. It shouldn't be you advocating for how you think things ought to be or what we need to do, but rather have more of a sense of a conversation, a dialogue, an open curiosity, and we should be left with further questions. So your conversation should be framed around the following points. So you'll have a brief overview of the week's readings and key concepts. You can consider, how do these concepts live and show up in early childhood education? How do the articles unsettle and disrupt common assumptions about inclusion? So really be sure that you're taking a critical lens here. What do the articles suggest about concepts of difference? So here's a list of expectations for the roundtable. The group discusses ideas in a clear, organized, and thoughtful way, demonstrates shared and engaged discussion, dissensus, which means not everybody necessarily agrees, and dialogue. So this is not only a presentation, but it should really be a conversation that you're sharing. So the conversation reflects a critical attention to the text and key ideas. The conversation reflects a clear understanding of how these ideas are connected to early childhood education, again from a critical lens, so taking a social constructionist orientation, which we'll discuss in week 2 or week 3. The conversation does not suffer of concept fragmentation or disorganization, so you don't have ideas that seemingly come out of nowhere, but rather they're situated within the dialogue and within the conversation and the readings. The conversation shows evidence of the group's multiple perspectives and an attitude of respectful questioning and ongoing curiosity. So the final assignment that you have in this course is called a written synopsis of selected texts, and that's due April 14th. It's 20%. So in this assignment, you'll select 2 readings from the reading list, different from those that were discussed in your roundtable assignment, and you'll discuss how the authors orient themselves to a key course topic. So your synopsis must draw on and refer to the ideas of your peers' roundtable conversations, which discuss your chosen readings here. So you'll be drawing mainly on the author's perspectives, but you'll also be incorporating some of the ideas that were discussed in the roundtable that discusses these articles as well. So some topics for this synopsis might include identity, gender, difference, ethics of care, heteronormativity and sexuality, the social construction of race and its effects, privilege and positionalities, ability and impairment, the politics of the body. So other topics are possible as well, but please discuss your ideas with me beforehand. Students should consider the following questions as you're writing your synopsis. What are the author's main arguments with regard to the topic? What theoretical lens are they looking from? What do they propose? What are they challenged by? How does this topic live in early childhood education, and why might it matter? And what questions do the articles or roundtables provoke you towards? So the written synopsis should be a well-written and carefully proofread writing piece with sound grammar, spelling, and language use, and you should use APA referencing as in all other assignments. So it should discuss the author's ideas and perspectives, that is what the articles actually discuss, and it should be written in your own words without the use of big direct quotes, although the occasional short 1 to 3 phrase or series of words is acceptable. Each synopsis should focus on the questions that are provided above, and so this means that you'll need to draw out from the readings relevant ideas and not only provide a summary of the articles, but rather some key concepts that are emerging from them. So the written synopsis will be no more than 1,400 words, excluding the title page. It'll be double-spaced in Times New Roman 12-point font following APA. And again, here are some guidelines for the assignments. And yeah, I think that's it. Have a great week, everybody. And please do let me know if you have any questions.